Hey kids, Dean from Crypto the Wonder Dog. You know, there's a lot of people in this world, and a lot of them are getting involved with blockchain sooner than later, and also later than sooner. So I was contacted by this wonderful lady, this wonderful Irish lass, Jillian Godsil, and she is a crypto advocate, journalist, and speaker, living in Ireland, living the life. And but it wasn't always so sunny in Ireland, as it most often is not. But she has a wonderful story, riches to rags, rags to riches, and then a political stint that actually got some laws changed there in Ireland. She is just a happy person. She's wonderful to talk to, and we had a wonderful conversation. And we're still working on this video thing, man. We're still working on trying to get this the video portion of this thing, because you know, being a director and a filmmaker, it's kind of embarrassing whenever you can't even make your own podcast video production look like something that somebody wants to watch. But it's hard when you're one behind the camera and in front of the camera at the same time. And this is a new world for me in lots of ways. But bear with it, because you know, there's something new is coming around the corner. I can feel it. It's going to happen. We're going to have beautiful video production cameras in here, and it'll look wonderful. It always sound. I hope it sounds wonderful. I mean, let me know. I don't get a whole lot of feedback from what we're doing here, but would love to talk to you, and you'll see that we had a really good talk, and the video's a little choppy here and there. Some audio dropped out, but my God, you know, people complaining about it, but think about it. I'm talking to somebody and seeing her talk from thousands, not hundreds, thousands of miles away and across a big puddle of water, to actually have this come to you today, and to hear, you know, there's no delay when you're talking with them. And so it was really cool to actually, you know, sit there and talk with her. But one of the things that we talked about was the North American Sports and Blockchain show that is happening in August. That is this August. Let's see, where did I put it? There's Simon. North American Sports and Blockchain Conference in Los Angeles, focusing on blockchain technology and its impact on the sports world, including sports, pro sports, amateur sports, gambling, fantasy, esports, and much more. We're gathering steam here. We're getting some power behind this. We've got some people that are coming on that they're going to be bringing some great stuff. If you haven't checked out the website yet, please do so. nasbc.co. That's not a misprint. It isn't .com. It's .co. So please check it out. We have a list of some potential, our early guest speakers so far, and more are on their way. We've already got just a bunch more that we have not put up on the website yet. Please join us. Click on any of the links in here. You'll be able to buy some tickets. If you're a potential sponsor, please download the sponsor deck. Check it out. Let us know where you'd like to be involved with this. It's a guaranteed good time for everyone involved. If you're a speaker, if you're a sponsor, if you're an athlete, or if you just want to come and rub shoulders with some of the big names in crypto, learn what it's all about, learn what the blockchain's about, come on in, check it out. Los Angeles, 2018, August 6th, 7th, and 8th at the JW Marriott Live, Los Angeles, downtown LA Live, Los Angeles, California, as opposed to, apparently there's another Los Angeles in Chile. I didn't know that. Please check it out. Anyway, get your tickets at Eventbrite. You can search it, or you can click on any of the links there on the website. 2018 North American Sports and Blockchain. Also, please, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit that bell so you know when we're going to be putting up a new video. And if you're on iTunes, fortunately you're not going to be able to see much of what's going to happen today, but you can get a great earful. It's always a good earful. And we'll be bringing a lot more news updates on. We're going to be also another thing we're going to be doing. Forgot to tell you about this. We're going to be doing a daily 1 minute update on what's going on in the world of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and everything. We're putting that together now. We're going to be syndicating that across some of the AM stations. And oh my God, just so much news today. Yesterday we had a guy stop in that has been promising, and I keep not getting. But Nicholas Junita, Juntia, I forgot to ask you how to pronounce his last name. Super nice kid, man. Smart as hell, and was able to create the Crypto the Wonder Dog token. And if you want your bounty, if you want to impress the ladies, you want to open up your wallet and show one with a bunch of zeros behind it, I can hook you up. Okay, we're going to be giving these worthless tokens away, but they're very impressive when they're in your wallet and you open it up and you've got this gigantic number and it says Crypto the Wonder Dog token on it, and you can impress them, impress your friends, impress your mom. Mom, look, it's paying off. Look at this. I've got 1 million Crypto the Wonder Dog tokens. Like and subscribe to the Crypto the Wonder Dog show on YouTube and on iTunes, and we'll be sure to drop some of those in there. Oh, make sure you give us your ECR20 wallets. Is it ERC? Whatever they are, something 20 tokens, ERC 20 tokens, and give us your wallet address, and we will drop those in there. Okay. Anyway, you guys ready to start the show? All right, let's start the show. Flipping through the links that you sent me so that. Right on. Yes. What's going on, Jillian?
We call me either. I don't mind. nothing so much. It's a bank holiday weekend. It's supposed to be sunny, and it's Ireland.
It looks sunny out there.
No, it's a lot of light coming in, but it's cloudy.
It's an illusion.
That's why actually my candle lit here.
What city are you in? You're in Dublin?
No, I'm outside. I'm south of Dublin, about 100 kilometres south, in County Wicklow. And I'm not actually even in a village. I live above a village.
You live above a village. You look down on the people?
I certainly do. But only literally, you understand.
You reign over the people there in your village.
That's maybe not the case.
No? Okay. All right. So you friended me on LinkedIn, and you said you had a wonderful story because you knew a couple of people that I had just done a show with, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nikita and Tian.
So how did you come across Tian?
He found me on LinkedIn, actually.
Oh, he did?
He came and he asked me, although can I say it now, because do I tell my story, or cause I have to go backwards and forwards? And I met Nikita in the Middle East. So,
wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so it is crazy. I've never been there before. I was there last month, and I was in Oman. Oman is a beautiful, beautiful country. It's very progressive. Mm-hmm. And I was a bit worried, thinking, I'm a bit of a feminist and women's rights and voting and all the rest of it. Of course, nobody has any voting rights there at all. It's not women. But the Sultan there, it's not a bad lifestyle. It's a different one. Like, they get free education, free healthcare, and no taxes.
No taxes?
No taxes. No taxes. So
for women?
Oh, no, for men. It's the same process.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? And women are allowed to drive. It's not so restrictive like other Saudi Arabia, whatever, which is more strict, and women can wear what they tend to have modesty, so you have your shoulders covered and your knees covered, basically. Although mind you, in the hotel where I was, yeah, and everything else exposed. I don't know. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Wow. There was when I was staying there was some tourists, and they actually had shorts on and stuff like that. So I suppose it's not that strict, I guess. Wow. But it's a nice place.
Okay, so they're getting more progressive. They're loosening up some of their I guess that's religious laws, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm no expert, but I found as a people to be very, very friendly, very kind, very nice people, very interesting. I enjoyed it very much.
Really? Okay, so I've actually been friended by a few people from the Middle East and Oman, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, especially because of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was there at a cryptocurrency conference.
Which one was that?
Conference. The Oman. It was the first conference, the first blockchain conference in Oman, the Oman 2018 blockchain conference.
Okay, and were you a speaker there?
I was speaker, and I also chaired the whole conference.
Really?
So that was a bit nerve-wracking. Wow. I was like, because they've got some unusual names, and of course it was so fun stuff and very formal. Like the opening ceremony, it was under the patronage of His Excellency, and I can't even say his name now, but it was very formal. They all arrived up with their turbans, the men, and their long white garbs, and they had their swords, their ceremonial swords stuck into the waistbands. And then we're in the VIP area, and it's terribly formal. And like you don't just say hi, Dean. You'd say hello, Mr. Kirkland, or Mr. Dean. Actually, is what they tend to do out there. Mr.
Dean. Okay.
So Mr. Dean, yeah, or lots of doctors there. So when I was doing the intros, I started off, and I did the first one quite formally, and then the second speaker actually was educated in Ireland in the College of Surgeons here, so he was used to the Irish, and I was joking, saying, "Now, just so you know, this is how we pronounce your names in Ireland. I don't care how you pronounce it. This is how and I'm Irish, so this is how we pronounce your names."
It's going to happen. Don't get mad. Don't be offended.
So they were very kind. They did laugh a lot. They were. I was very worried because it is quite formal.
Yeah.
But they were so kind, and as an audience, they were so kind, kind. Yeah.
And how long was the event?
Just 2 days.
Just 2 days. Okay. And what were you guys speaking on mostly? Just finance or?
I love blockchain. So I was doing. I love 3 things about blockchain, and when we do my story, we'll explain why blockchain is like me coming home. But I love. First of all, the first thing I love is the do good bit. I adore the possibility to change the world for the better place. That is just phenomenal. Secondly, I like the way it disrupts existing systems, which have just over time sort of accumulated this sort of, mass. It actually makes no sense, like insurance and banking and lots of things like that. That actually, if you were to invent them from ground zero now, you wouldn't do it that way. So that's very clever. There's some very bright people in this area. And the third thing, I love the wacky technology. There's some crazy stuff coming out, and people are just there's so many bright, intelligent, smart thinkers, out of the box thinkers working in this space. So it's a really, really, as you know, exciting place to be in. So I adore it.
Yes, it is.
So that's my talk basically. I love blockchain. Blockchain saved my life.
Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna raise this. I feel like I'm looking down on you because my computer. I'm gonna raise that up. Just 1 second. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna. It's very. We have a lot of high tech equipment here. I'm gonna use this box to raise you up.
You raise me up.
Hey, that looks much better.
Okay, good. You look the same, funnily enough.
Look at that. Well, I feel better now because I feel like I'm talking right at you instead of looking down on you. Just kind of ominous. That's not me. So, you said you had a crazy, crazy story, and I did not read it. I got your email, and I was a good boy.
Well done.
I brought up all of the links here on the screen. So, tell me which one are we going to start with? Where should I go?
Oh, I can't remember what I sent you.
Well, there's Mortgage Woes, Puck Irish.
Oh, that's the
landscape.
That was the NPR piece. I thought you'd like it being American.
Okay.
A PR journalist came over and interviewed me. So that's probably sort of at the start, middle start of my funny. Well, tell you what, if I could just go backwards very quickly.
Sure.
I had a very, like a very normal upbringing, very happy upbringing. I'm one of 6 kids. Mum and dad are fabulous people. My father's passed now. But grew up, went to Trinity, studied history and English in Trinity.
Okay.
And then I was hard on the milk round, and I went to work for JP Morgan in London as a systems analyst.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So that was kind of cool. Now, I just missed the punch cards. Just missed them. Hallelujah. And I was doing like RPG, which is the online, or CPG, which is the online version of RPG, and HP COBOL. It was before personal computers, basically. They hadn't really come in at that stage. So that was kind of fun. And then I spent 3 years there. And then I met my then husband, went to Australia, and I spent 3 years there working in high-tech PR, because although I really enjoyed my time in JP Morgan, and it was a great company to work for, and the city was very exciting, I bought a flat in London, and I was a graduate hire, amazing time. I was an awful programmer. I was a really, really, really bad programmer. So I left just before they discovered how bad I was.
Really? Good. Okay, good.
I just got out just in time. And then, but I discovered, because I loved writing, and I had spent 3 years working with a big bank and all technology and everything. So I understood the questions to ask. I know there's no stupid questions, but it gave me the bravery to go to people and say, what does that mean? What does the other thing mean? So I went into high tech PR in Australia, and I loved that. I was like a fish to water. I just adored it. And then we went on to Singapore. We spent 2 years there in Singapore. And I had my daughter there, but I was working all the time with Hill & Knowlton. It's a big American, you probably know it, PR company. And I was director. Just before I left, I was made director. I came in like as a freelancer, and we split fees. I was earning way too much because I brought all this business in, so they brought me in house. And then I was my title was Director of Asia Pac Technology or something like that. Wow. And obviously, advanced technology is now fintech, but it was called funny name back in the day. So I was really into 2 years. It was cool. And then I returned back to Ireland ahead of my husband and met my daughter, and bought a house so that we were going to stay in Ireland, not in England. And we came home to Dublin, and then my ex had a bit of was it a nervous breakdown, whatever, but he was working in the IFSC, in the financial centre with more IT stuff. He wanted to change his career, so we bought a ruin down the country, big old house down the country. Okay. Did it up. We're going to run it as a guest house. So that's my life. Up till then, everything is like kind of normal. And we didn't run it as a guest house because I set up my own PR company again, and it took off. I went through the dot-com boom and crash, but I had a lot of skill sets I'd learned over being abroad and stuff like that. So, we were doing well. We were quite comfortable. We weren't rich. This is during the Celtic Tiger. Now I was interviewed recently by someone, and they said, so tell me, Jill, how hard did you party during the Celtic Tiger? And I'm going, party? I was a full-time working mum with 2 small children. You don't have time to party when you're full-time working with 2 small children.
You
it doesn't work like that. No. So what happened was then in 2008, when the crash was just about to happen, my husband and I separated. Oh. Always a bad time to separate during a recession. Not a good time. No. So he went back to the UK, and we tried to sell the house, put the house on the market. And at one stage, we got an offer of 1.1 on it, and that fell through. And then in Ireland, we were promised a soft landing from the Celtic Tiger. I don't know if you follow modern history of Ireland. No. We had a crash. Oh my God, it was so. We went from like here, we were like this, we're going crazy, 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 and then we nosedived. It was a total nose. And as a result, my ex went back to the UK, and as part of his divorce present to me, he went bankrupt there and gave all the debt to myself and our 2 children.
Oh my God! Wow.
I know. It's a bit unfair, isn't it? So I'm stuck with this big house, big mortgage, and things are going a bit crazy. The divorce itself is very painful. This is a very painful divorce. And so I couldn't afford everything. So I said, right, I'll rent out my house and I'll move into a little cottage, because also the kids had ponies. So I foolishly said to my children, wanting to give them continuity, I'll say, you'll always have your ponies. Because, I was earning those days, it was fine. Yeah. That was I should have said, you'll always have your hockey sticks or your tennis rackets. No, I said ponies. Because you know what they say about, how do you make a small fortune out of horses? Start off with a large one. The same goes, they never invest money in things that eat one end and poop the other end. You know, it's not a good plan. So anyway, but it wasn't. It was just my children. You know what girls are like with their ponies, so they were totally into their ponies. So I rented a place nearby which had stables and paddocks, and we looked after the horses at home. So it was a big deal because I'm not really horsey, but the kids, my eldest daughter, who was 13 at that stage, I think, she took the responsibility for it. So fair play to her, amazing. So that was grand, and I rented the big house out, and that was fine. I was sort of, trying to figure out what to do, because at this stage I thought I should sell the house, and but the price was crashing. We could have got an offer 1.1 that fell through, and then it was just plummeting. And then my tenants in the house, they were evicted by the drug squad because they turned the house into a grow house.
Oh my God.
So,
wow.
So the house was a bit, at this stage, it was, it needed lots of work to come, because, when you grow weed,
oh my God.
it was inside the house, so there was a lot of mess, and, I had no money at this stage, and my business was starting to fail, combination of the divorce, stress, and the recession too as well. So I thought, right, I'll make a video to sell this house. And I made a quirky little video, and the video went viral.
No,
mad. It was like it was crazy, because I did it I launched it on a Wednesday. It was a small little video. You can buy Jill's dream house for 500,000. It was a bargain offer, whatever. And the next day, someone rang me from the Sunday Times, I think it was, and said, "Keep me posted, Jill. I saw that video. It looks really interesting." He rang me about the following morning and said, "Jill, we're doing an exclusive on you this weekend," because the story was gathering momentum. And what happened was, it just captured people's imagination, because at that stage in Ireland too as well, I don't know if you're familiar with, when the banks fail in America, they fail, right?
Yes.
They go down. Mm-hmm. We had banks that failed in Ireland, and the government at the time came up with this great solution to bail out the banks. So we put this bank guarantee in place, which is wonky, because if you have a private entity like a bank, the public purse should not be bailing out a private entity.
No, absolutely not.
It's crazy, but the Europeans stuck it to us, because there were so many Germans and French with the big money invested in these banks. They didn't want to see it all dissipate. So we were bullied, basically, in the EU, and we took on a debt, the Irish people, of 64 billion euros, which will go on to our children's generation. For banks that failed, we didn't borrow the money. It wasn't us. The banks failed. Mm-mm. And crazy. So this is happening, right? And around the same time, the banks, people were starting to fail, because the recession was really coming in very, very hard, right? And for example, I got a cash offer of 500,000 for my house, right, through this publicity. And actually, it was funny. There was an Irish journalist who was over in New York setting up this company called Storyful, which he subsequently sold to Murdoch's Citizen Curated News. And he was in the New York Times and the Huffington Post. And they both said, "Yeah, there's some divorcee in Ireland selling her house on YouTube. Do you know her?" And he goes, "I do." So the story, because Ireland's very small. We know each other.
Wow.
So it was kind of crazy. All of a sudden, I became the poster woman, whatever, for austerity in Ireland. And that was fine, but at the same time, and by the way, that 500 cash offer that I got, the banks refused consent to sell, because it wasn't the mortgage. The mortgage was 800,000, which I'd been paying quite happily up till the crash. And then they preferred to repossess the home and leave me with all that debt, and they sold it for 165,000 a few months later. And this crazy was happening. What was happening at the same time was, because of the need to stick the debt to the Irish people, the banks were given a huge amount of control, and they had this sort of narrative that they were telling everybody. And this narrative, you're probably familiar with it in the US too as well. The difference is, of course, I should point out that if you sell a home and you can't hand back the keys, if you sell a home and you have negative equity, the banks here in Ireland come after you for the rest of the money. You're not off the hook, which is crazy, because it should be parity of risk for both lender and borrower.
Yeah.
So I got very cross, going, "Hang on, I know I borrowed the money, but you lent me the money. The risk should be the same. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't just take the money and then still come after me. That makes no sense."
No.
Anyway, in the middle of all this, the banks were using terms like moral hazard and debt forgiveness. These are really, really, really big terms. And you know what? Banks making these sort of moral judgments. Banks, like the bank that repossessed my home, refused a cash offer, repossessed my home, and sold it for 165,000. And destroyed my life in the middle of it, because everything. Bailiffs came to my door. My whole world fell apart. I was. And then what happened was, I discovered that there were a lot of people who were failing financially, and there was a lot of suicides. There was like a suicide, nearly one every day, and a lot of them were financially inspired.
Yes.
And we all used somebody who took their own life because, and especially men, of course, because men are not so good at talking at these things, they took their own life because, the shame of it, the shame of failing financially, which is crazy, because as we know, as I know personally, maybe you do too as well, we're all of us only a couple of paychecks away from being homeless.
Absolutely. Yes.
And unless you're actually in that situation, you don't realize how close you are. So I got, and I remember I was also president of my alumni of my school, and I met some people, I was chatting with them, and one person said to me, she said, because I was also explaining to them, I was sort of getting I became a bit of a ranter and raver on the public airways, on the radios, and the TV and press, whatever. And she said, I was brought up, she said, to repay my debts. And she didn't mean it badly, but when I drove away, I suddenly went, hang on, do you think that I was brought up not to repay my debts, or my moral compass had shifted in So I got very angry and became very politicized. And I ranted and raved more and more and more, and especially when the banks refused to take my consent for me to sell. And on this journey, so every opportunity I got, if I could rant and rave, I did. I did a lot of television. I did a lot of, I was on NPR. I was on Al Jazeera. I was on Russia Today, BBC2, you name it. If they were sending crews over here to Ireland, they featured me because it was a nice little story, if you like, to epitomise what was happening to the ordinary Irish people.
Oh, my God.
And I was in a big house, and, husband goes back to the UK. There's not a few extra bits to it, but it was an easy story to package.
Yeah.
And I was very happy to speak about it because, although it hurt hugely, I was not ashamed. I had committed no crime. All the money I ever earned. I earned. I didn't even inherit it. I earned it. All the money I ever lost was mine to lose. So I was not ashamed. I did nothing wrong. And I got crosser and crosser for people who were made to somehow, like they turned to actual dog the banks, moral hazard. There's always people gaming the system, crazy stuff. So in the midst of all that, I discovered that we had inherited law from the UK, Victorian law, again, very arcane law, which said that if you were a bankrupt, you were not to be trusted and you were not allowed to run for public office. So this is where I started fighting back. So I started fighting back. So what I did was I'd met a lot of people along the way, people who were, because I was mixing with all these ranting and raving people, whatever, getting very cross about this. And then I met a solicitor, and I got two barristers who wanted to take this case, constitutional barristers. And I took the Irish government to the High Court, and I said that my constitutional rights were being infringed. And I actually went all the way to the Supreme Court, but I was successful. The law was changed. Ta-da!
Wow. You changed the law.
So and that's pretty good, because not many ordinary people get to change the law.
No, they don't.
If you're in Parliament, of course. But if you're not in Parliament, not really get to do it. So I was very happy. And I'll give you a laugh. It actually it was changed at the High Court, but they went to the Supreme Court to argue for costs, because they weren't given costs. I mean, I got no money from it. It was all, the guys who did pro bono, but they got paid their big fees in the end. And then I was back in the HIST, which is the Debating Society in Trinity College recently, and there was a Supreme Court judge there I was debating, and she was judging it, and I knew her vaguely from college. And it was so funny. She said, "Oh yes," she said, "your case came up against me in the Supreme Court recently." I went, "Oh, was it like, to help the downtrodden, for truth?" No, it was for costs. I went, "Oh, that's pretty awful."
Yeah.
So the judges will all know me. My name will be with trying to get costs, trying to argue that costs should be applied to the plaintiff, whatever.
No.
So anyway, then I changed the law. And then I had to run. I had to do something. And the next elections that came up were the European Parliament elections. So that was 2014. That's why my funny email is VoteJill14.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to run. I ran in Ireland South. I had a ball. Oh, my God. My Jeep had packed in at that stage. So a friend lent me his little, I think it was a Fiat, little Fiesta, or something, a tiny little red car. Do you know the English character Mr. Bean?
Yes. Yes.
I'm like Mr. Bean, going around the countryside like canvassing. But it was so exciting. I've never been a politician before, and possibly won't be again either after. I don't know. But it was such fun. It really was a lot of fun.
Really? Okay.
It was. I had doors slammed in my face, and I had more people being nice to me. And I think the classic thing after this is a really funny story for me anyway. On the last week of the campaign, I only campaigned for 6 weeks because I came in late, because I changed the law before I could actually run. And the last week we were on the television, and there was about 14 candidates in Ireland South. So we kind of all buddied up. We became pals. We were always hanging out in the green room, waiting to go on radio together and scoring points, and
Yeah.
Anyway, the last day there was two TV shows on. One was on, I think, on the Monday, and I survived that just about. And I had like my 3 or 4 pieces that I wanted to say. because I had no one to help me. I just was going on sort of pure heart, instinctive stuff. And she kept Claire Byrne, the broadcaster, kept coming back to me. I kept saying, "No, I've said what I want to say. Go talk to somebody else." And everyone else is going, "Me." I go, "No, do I really have to answer that question?" Okay. And then the following tune I said, it was on Vincent Brand. He's since retired. He's a great guy. He's a really good journalist, and he's very grumpy. He's not renowned for being grumpy. He takes no prisoners. So I'm going, and the makeup lady says he's very grumpy. It's been a long campaign. He is so grumpy. So anyway,
it's not you, it's him.
Yeah, we're all in the studio, and then it was very funny. One of my opponents was this nice lady called I can't remember now. Theresa Healy, I think it was. She was a Catholic Democrat. And she was a very nice woman, but her ideas were very much 1950s, Ireland 1950s. So she just said things like she would solve the unemployment problem in Ireland by paying the married Catholic mothers to stay home and to mind their own children. And then the jobs they created would be taken by their husbands. And then she had to go with the Gay Liberation Front. I don't know if such a thing exists anymore. I think, the Gay Liberation Front, it's sad. I don't know if that still exists, really. But we have, marriage referendum here in Ireland. We were one of the first countries in the EU. Anyway, she did that. And then it was very funny. She started going about the estrogen in the water that was causing problems, and it all came from the contraceptive pill. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
So I should bear in mind, to put that in perspective, 20 years ago, condoms were illegal in Ireland. You had to get them on prescription, So
no way.
It was 30 years ago. Yeah, so we were late to that thing as well. Anyway, she's doing all this, and the rest of the group, she's a nice lady, but we're all looking at each other going, what is she on? What is she on? And next minute, I get the nod, right? And it's Vincent, he's coming to me next, right? I'm going, how am I going to follow that? And you have to remember, this is on live national Irish television, right? And it's the night before the elections, everyone's watching it, who's interested in it, comes to me, and I go, well, Vincent, I said, I'm Protestant divorcing on the pill. I don't think Theresa wants me in her Ireland. And then I go,
that's awesome.
So he said, actually he starts to laugh. He goes, he said, are you polluting the waters? And I said, I don't know. It's TMI, I think. TMI. And the tweets were hilarious. The tweets were so funny. One guy said, I think it has to be the best quote of the election. I think it might be, actually. I think it might be, but
that was
fun.
Great.
And I went down to the Cork Count Centre, because we have proportional representation here with our elections. So it's not one vote. It's when someone's eliminated or someone gets elected, their votes are redistributed to the other candidate. So it's a long process. Yeah, very interesting. It protects minorities, I understand. So you can have more minorities being represented in Parliament through this process. Okay. But it means it takes a long time. So I went down on the Sunday evening just to say hello to my colleagues, say hi guys, and then it was fascinating. Oh my God, because I had skin in the game, of course. I was still in there. And I think it was only 3 days later, they peeled me out of the count centre when I was finally eliminated on 11,500 votes. Not too bad, not too shabby. And I drove home with Mr. Bean again.
You live in a red Ford Fiesta?
A Ford Fiesta. So it was a little red title car. And it was so funny because I remember I stopped off in a garage and I got a breakfast roll, which were very famous here during the Celtic Tiger. Now, we're in the recession, of course, now. They're horrible.
What is it?
Everything into a roll. It's all sausage and rasher and bacon and puddings, black pudding and white pudding, and everything you have on a full Irish breakfast into a roll.
Huh. Oh. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my celebration. So that's all the mad stuff. And then I went off and I did a master. I couldn't get a job then for a bit because I hit that funny age. I was a woman. I'd be self-employed.
Yeah.
And so in the last minute, I veered into a master's in screenwriting in Dublin. So that was amazing. Screenwriting, so films.
Beautiful.
So amazing. So that was great fun. But my life, so to come around to the blockchain, my life then, we were staying in the rented accommodation, and we were about 10 years in this rented accommodation. And then in 2016, our landlady decided she wanted her cottage back. So we, in essence, were being evicted from there. Now, at this stage, I've no money. I'm surviving on the dole because I can't get work. Now, thank the Lord, we have a welfare state here in Ireland. But I was on 180 a week. That was to feed kids, 2 kids, dog, cat, and we still had the ponies. Remember them? Couldn't just shoot them.
Oh my God!
And it was very, very tough. I mean, there were times when we would have, we'd no heating, fuel. We always had food on the table, but I tell you, I'll give you an example. My mum bought me a little Corsa to go up and down to Dublin to my master's. So I'm going from a Fiesta to a Corsa. I'm not too sure if I was way up or down. And the road tax for the Corsa is €180 a year. I can only afford to pay it in quarterly installments.
Oh my God.
So I was a little bit broke. But
Yeah.
the kids are great. We're doing fine. But it was a really tough year because we have a huge problem. During the recession, the Irish government and private developers built no houses. We have a huge homeless problem here at the moment. And whether even in the private sector, there's nothing to rent. It's a really huge crisis that we're having at the moment. And 2016, I could not find any place to rent. And I was going to rent it. And it was worse because in 2008, whenever that was happening, I still had some income. I had some money. This time I had no money. And it was very funny. Then they changed the law in Ireland for the bankruptcy period. It used to be 13 or 12, 13, brought down to 3, and then they brought it down to 1. So I was already like 2.5 years into my bankruptcy. So on a certain date, everybody who was already in that process, we were all discharged from bankruptcy. About 800 of us were all discharged. So, of course, they sent the TV cameras down to me, the only bankrupt in the country, of course.
Really?
And so I was on the news again. They were like going, and they said, at this stage, I had found a cottage for my girls to live in, and a little one-bedroom cottage, because my eldest daughter works with horses. Again, you'll always have your ponies.
Yes.
How do I do that? Anyway,
Yeah.
Things you say as a parent, oh my God, they come back to bite you. But anyway, so I found a cottage for them, but I was going to be couch surfing on a friend that had a bedroom. They were going to loan me, or I was going to pay a few bob, whatever. And so the TV crew came down and said, "What's your life?" I'm there with bags, trying to put bags into a van. My brother had borrowed to help me move. And I said, "Well, nothing's changed. Okay, I'm out of bankruptcy, but I'm homeless again, And I wrote a piece that same week, and in the Irish Times, and it was called. Well, I wrote it. It was a real.
Is it? I call it couch surfing, but really, I'm homeless.
That's the one.
Right here in the Irish Times. Have that up. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, I didn't do the headline, but it's very good because the homeless situation we have here in Ireland. There's rough sleepers. There's families. There's 10,000 people who are homeless in Ireland. There's families in hotel rooms. Crazy stuff.
Families in hotel rooms. Well, yeah.
It makes no sense because it costs the government more, And it's like, and then there's people.
So the government's putting the people up in the hotel rooms.
Yeah, because they have a right to live someplace, But it costs them more. They're not building properly. There's no joined up thinking about housing here.
So they don't have like a Habitat for Humanity or anything like that.
What's that? Sorry.
A Habitat for Humanity. It's where. You've heard of President Jimmy Carter from the U.S., right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he headed up this organization for a while called Habitat for Humanity, where people would go and they would build homes for people who were down and out, and so they would build these economical low income areas. They would build up some homes so people would have places, especially like families. And you kind of like a lottery. You get into this thing, and obviously there's way more homeless than there is homes. So it was a really great thing to be part of it. But you also had to help build the home. You had to be part of the building crew. Yeah, which is great. Ooh. So, but that's not a government thing. That's a charity that somebody organized and put together, and people they get houses. But the government housing over here, I'm not really sure how it goes because I was I was pretty close to where you were a few years ago with a couple of kids, and it was very tough for me to find work, and especially in the entertainment industry and arts and things like that. So that's where my background is. So trying to find, especially here in California, you'd think that everyone, there's jobs everywhere, but the competition for jobs here is ridiculous. And even for photography, I would Google my area for photographers, and it seemed like every block there were 20 photographers. So wow. Yeah, it's tough, And then guess who gets rich is Google, because you have to advertise to get on top of the listing, and so Google just makes more money on the backs of the struggling people.
Yeah. Which is why blockchain is going to change all that. But actually, funny enough, Ireland is one of the fastest growing economies in the EU at the moment, and we're almost at full employment. Except we still have a huge homeless problem. Huge, which is crazy. There's like 2 Irelands here at the moment. People are doing okay, and fair play to them, and I'm very happy for them, obviously. But then there's people who are being evicted from their homes. And also what happened was, after all this, the mess that happened in Ireland and the big bailout that we did, the ECB came down quite hard on the Irish banks and said, you have to get your balance sheets sorted out, because the banks lent frivolously during the boom time, and they were bailed out, and no one got fired or sacked or anything like that. People committing suicide left, right, and centre. And the even more scary thing, they lent, a quick diversion, they lent things called tracker mortgages during the boom years, which were basically loss leaders in mortgages, because they knew they'd scrape up all the other interest in home loans and improvement, all the rest of it. So people were on these very low, they were actually below LIBOR, I think, whatever, very, very low rates, so they could afford their houses. And the next minute, I think it's there 30,000 families are affected. The banks, all at once, apparently, it wasn't a monopoly, oh gosh, but all at once they decided to take people off the tracker mortgage, which is wholly illegal, because the people had contracts. Yeah. So people, and it only came to light because of a couple of really strong people who I forget the guy's name, he's been campaigning for, because all these people are coming into him saying, hang on, our lives are destroyed. We went from like paying a mortgage of $1,000 a month to $2,000 a month. That kills a household.
Oh yeah.
And people were lost their homes, they were evicted, people committed suicide, because the banks, as a monopoly and illegally, removed them from their tracker mortgages. Oh, anyway, that's banks, me and banks. And then what happened was, the crazy thing is that because the banks weren't actually. Well, hang on, I've lost my train of thought. That's very unlike me. What was I going to say about the banks? I got the track. Oh, I know. Yes, sorry, I remember again. So the ECB, which is the European Central Bank, has come down very hard on the banks here, the pillar banks especially, and said you got to clean up your loans because you haven't got the right ratio, whatever. So there's a lot of unperforming loans or sub-performing loans on their books. And what they're doing now, and there's a huge hoo-ha over it, but they're still doing it, they're selling them to vulture funds. Not to ethical funds, to vulture funds. So all these people are going to be in danger, because a vulture fund, it pays cents in the pound or in the dollar, euro. They'll want, as soon as the market goes up, which the market's going up again, they'll evict the people to get their money.
Oh,
and because
my
they're
God.
vulture funds, then they're not registered here in Ireland, so they're not subject to the same laws that a pillar bank has to be a good citizen as well in the country. They're foreign, they're from the US, whatever. They have no rules. And plus, also, the ultimate injury, I think it's been stopped now, but there was a loophole where they set themselves up as charities, and they paid no tax.
Oh, how great is that? Call yourself a charity so you can get out of paying taxes.
Horrendous. So anyway, that is a problem here at the moment in Ireland. So anyway, so I couldn't find accommodation. I wrote this piece about, like, I had been searching for the year. I was more panicked in 2016 because I had no money. I had no money. I couldn't find any place to rent. Finally got my girls sorted. And I pushed my landlady right out. I overstayed my tenancy by, I think, about a month. I was paying my rent, but I refused to leave because I refused to put my children on the side of the street. I said, I'm not doing it. So, my kids are kind of big now at this stage, in fairness. They were like 19 and 21, whatever. So I put them into that little cottage, and I rented my friend's room, and I wrote that article. And I was afraid. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You get up and you just write.
Is this the one on Medium, or is that's still the one on you're still the one you talked about, the Irish Times?
Yeah, so the Irish Times.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
that was August 2016, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a friend of mine read it, and he said, Jilly, I've got a little cottage, he said, that I want you to, do you want to rent? And I saw it the following day, and I moved in the following week. And the funny thing is that my article, the couch surfing article, because it was so raw, it kind of went viral in Ireland, and they kind of knew of me because of what I'd done and my activism with the homeless or whatever. And people were coming up to me for months later going, Jilly, I'm so sorry. I heard about you. And I'm going, I'm okay now. So I only spent a week couch surfing. And it was a tough week. It was a tough week.
Yes, I get it, man. I get it, Wow.
That's funny.
And so then you wrote another...
And then...
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Will I tell my church story, or is that too much?
Your church story? Well, which one is that?
It's too much, I think, isn't it? Remember I told you yesterday about being ordinary?
Oh, yes.
Well, I tell that story.
That was funny. Go ahead. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I like that.
So I'm kind of saying, right, Jilly, you're even before this funny story they're going to tell, I think it's funny. I said, okay, you're going to be ordinary. When I exited the bankruptcy, I started getting some work in. I went off the dole. I wasn't earning huge money, but I was earning enough money. I was paying the bills. And I sort of going, okay, this is going to be my life. I'm going to be normal and all the rest of it. And as part of that, there's a man called Trevor Sargent, who's an ex-head of the Green Party here in Ireland, a politician and a minister. And he decided to become a minister of the cloth, to become a Church of Ireland minister. And so his investiture was being done in my local church, of which I had been very active when I was married, less so recently. And anyway, I met one of the organists, and she said, "Jilly, will you come and sing in the choir?" I said, "Oh, yeah, no problem." So I rock up on the day for the choir, right? And church is packed because it's a big deal, right? Because especially, Trevor Sargent's very famous.
Yeah.
And so it was a big deal. And I went up to the choir, and I was told there was no room in the choir. So I was like going, oh, that didn't seem very nice. And I'd spent like 15 years in that church where I was church warden, and I was on the select vestry, and I sang in the choir, and I read the lessons, I did the Sunday school, I did all the stuff, whatever. And so I kind of went, "Oh, okay," big smile. I went back to the front of the church where my friend Edwina was church warden. And I said, "I'm not allowed in the choir." And I was horrified, and I was cross, and I was everything, and it was a small thing, but right where I was a bit vulnerable, I guess,
Yeah.
So the Trevor Sargent arrives up, and there's all the clergymen and clergywomen, because we have clergywomen in our church, hey, and the TV cameras as well, because he's an important guy. So they followed him into the church, and I went into the church at the back, and I sat next to Edwina, and I sang my heart out. But throughout the service, I was giving off to myself. I was giving myself a real going over. And I said, "Jilly, you're not important anymore. You're not. You're just an ordinary person. Would you ever cop onto yourself and be an ordinary person and just do ordinary things?" Right? I said, "How dare you think that you are meant to be somebody in this world? How dare you've done it? It's done. It's in the past."
Yeah.
So anyway, we had the teas after, very nice. And I went home, and that night, I think it was the 9 o'clock news actually, my phone started pinging. All my friends saying, Jilly, you're on the 9 o'clock news." So what? Because I was outside and not in the choir, the TV cameras took me in as they followed Trevor into the church,
Wow.
So their friends were like, "Oh, we saw you." I said, "Are you sure?" "Yes." So and then I went, "That's the universe telling me I'm not done yet."
No, you're
I'm not done yet.
No.
So then the blockchain is where we're getting to the momentous one.
Yes, the blockchain. Yes.
Okay. Last year, I discovered blockchain. And I was introduced by a friend of mine who's a bit of an anarchist, mad person. And I went, "Oh, this sings to my soul. I have just come home. Because when I ran in the elections, I wanted to make a difference. That was part of my reason. And I still do. I'm still involved with homeless advocacy and stuff like that here. I do my best. And I have a radio program where I interview people in this area. But I thought, ordinary people can make a difference in this area. I don't have to have money. I don't have to have wealth.
No.
I just have to have enthusiasm and hang out with all these amazing, talented, super enthusiastic, keen people. And I can change the world." So since then, it's been mad. Since then, I started writing, because I'm a journalist too as well, and I in fintech for 30 years of my career, whatever. And I just pivoted, which is a great word. I started saying, I am reinventing myself. That's so old-fashioned. No, I pivoted into blockchain.
Yeah.
And now, like 6 months in, I'm so important. No, I'm messing. But I'm loving it. I'm writing for CryptoCoin.News, which is my main thing I write for.
Yeah.
So I've interviewed CZ from Binance and lots of really, really talented, smart, intelligent, smashing, amazing people. And then I'm advisor to about 20 ICOs at this stage. It's phenomenal. I love that.
Get out. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. And I'm traveling the world speaking and sharing blockchain.
Now, how did you get into what was your first exposure to Bitcoin or blockchain or whatever?
Well, I mean, I years ago, I remember I went to a talk, but it went over my head. It was more about the coin. The person who gave the talk, I remember where I was and who I was with, but it didn't really register with me. Yeah. But first it was September. That was the first time. But the minute I saw it, I went, oh, this makes sense. And my friend Sean McCarthy, who's a trader, said, "Jill, there's room for women in this area." I said, "You're dead right." Yes. And then I'm very lucky as well that Simon Cocking, who's editor-in-chief of CryptoCoin.News.
I know Simon, yes.
You know? Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Simon's brilliant, right?
Yes.
And I know him 10 years because he lives in Ireland.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
He's a
we've missed a few times trying to get him on the show. Every time we've had him, something always comes up, and so we I don't know how that keeps happening, but we're going to get him on the show.
Oh, he is such a good man. I tell you what, I've met so many kind people in this area who give because they can.
Yeah.
And I mean, Simon, he doesn't owe me anything. I know him about 10 years. I've written for him just in pure IT beforehand, but he's super because he gave me the opportunity. I said, "Can I come write?" He said, "Yeah, sure, not a bother." And then what happens is he travels the world a lot too as well, sharing stuff. So he passes them on to me as well, and to other members of the team.
Beautiful.
He is so good. So like my first one, what was my first one? Ukraine.
Oh, the
Kiev.
Ukraine. Wow.
Never been there before. And it was a fashion on the blockchain. And it was, oh my goodness, I was a bit nervous.
Fashion on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay.
The good thing is that their English is not very good, and I spoke so fast they couldn't tell if I was an expert or not.
Oh, great.
And then I went to Amsterdam. I did a conference there, and then I did an amazing one in Oman, as I said before. Yeah. And I'm going to do a conference with them in Sri Lanka towards the end of the year. So I'm like, wow. And I was in Texas too as well. It's like from being this woman in the back of the church going, your life is over. You are to be a boring nobody.
Wow.
And now all of a sudden I'm going, wow. I'm like, wow. Isn't it great? It's a good story, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so, well, like I said, what your ICO advisor to several ICOs. So which ones are you? Which one's your favorite? What is your?
I'll tell you the two Irish ones.
Okay.
I'm two Irish. I'm going to promote Ireland here.
Okay.
Be unashamedly Irish. There's Mingo, which is a messaging aggregation app. Basically, you know how you get all your messages from Discord and Steam and Telegram, and you're going, where did that person email me from or message me? I can't find it.
Yeah.
It puts it all into one app, and
really?
then it has a coin too as well. And the idea is that they're going to build a plug-in economy, so you can just plug in different vendors can plug in their services, because people will be using this to exchange messages, and plus also there's gaming on there too as well. So it's gaming, wallet, and messages all together. So clever, smart little app. And I've been working for them since late last year or whatever. And then the other Irish company I'm working for is Blocknubie, which is a great company too as well. What they're doing is the founder of that used to work in startups and in cloud. I think he said he had the first cloud-based startup ecosystem in the world, I think, where basically what he's doing now with the blockchain, he's taking startups and he's going to onboard them onto the Blocknubie platform, the ecosystem, and then guide them through it. Because now apparently some 90% of startups fail because of a reason that's not relevant. Do you know what I mean? Like the idea is good, but maybe they haven't got.
Or they're just corrupt to begin with, and they're looking for a fast buck.
Well, yeah. Well, startups tend. Well, see, that's in the ICO world. If you think about startups in the previous world, they want to do something.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So those are two. I mean, and I have lots of other really interesting companies that I work for, and I don't want to say one for fear of offending the rest. I'll put a list underneath the things that were there. But I'll give you one. This is a fun one. It's a really interesting one called Eternal Trusts, right?
Okay.
And the idea is that, when you want to get life insurance, if you're old, you need to have a lot of money to put in, right? Because you're coming close, whatever. If you're a young person, it might be €20 a month, whatever, and you get a still nice payout if you die, later on. So this company is very interesting. What they're doing is they're setting up these trusts, but the idea is that at some time in the future, you may come back. You can store your DNA, you can store your mind, you can store your body, and come back as a clone or as be cryogenically frozen and weird and wacky stuff. But I mean, at the time when I first heard about it, I went, "Oh, that sounds a bit ethically worrying." But then if you think about it. Then you think how fast medicine has gone. People before, if you had a baby early, you lost your baby. They couldn't save the baby because they didn't have all that machine. Or if you had a cataract, you were blind. That was it. They didn't have the things. So things we take for granted might once upon a time being considered the work of the devil. Or how can this happen?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do I want to come back again? I think I prefer the Hindu way. Come back, as a butterfly or something.
Yeah,
like
butterfly or possibly a cockroach. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I prefer to come back as a butterfly. Oh, actually, cockroaches will last longer, won't they?
Yeah, you might live a little longer if you're a cockroach.
Yeah,
you might have a happier life. And apparently reproducing all the time. So that's a plus.
Okay, right. I will. I'll go back to my to-do list. Which one do I want to come back as? So that's just a weird and wacky one.
It is.
But I've this other one really there. I mean, I'm working in the food industry, working in travel industry, working in saving the world. Multivan, another one. They're saving the world, saving Bitcoin. Very clever. This Multiversum, which is a crypto relational database. There's just UHive, which is we said earlier. UHive is very interesting. They're creating social media platforms where you can monetize yourself too as well, obviously, because we all agree, so the so-called sharing economy, Facebook and Uber and Airbnb, not sharing at all, not sharing. It's just me at the top making all the money, and everyone else scrambling around the place. So,
that's funny because I worked as an Uber driver. I was trying to do that a while back, and here in Southern California, you would think that and there are. I mean, there's an Uber driver on every corner, but and I worked all day long, and I think by the end of the day, after I paid for gas, and I was in a very economical car. It wasn't an electric car, but it was pretty economical. I made about $20.
Wow.
20
That's
bucks.
Crazy.
Yes, after the gas and everything. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, so after a week, you get a bonus. If you last a week, they give you like a $200 bonus, and that was, a few years ago, but I was like, I'm running my car into the ground. I had a brand new car. I was running it into the ground, and it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, why are people doing this? And at the time you couldn't even tip. So if I had like 4 people in my car and I drove them, 7 miles, it was like $8 or something, and that was it. And it probably cost me $3 in gas, and probably $2 in car wear and tear. So I get it. The sharing thing, it's just not working.
Yeah, I mean, I love how it puts power back to the people, and and we know too as well. I mean, like some of the good bit that I like. It's possible. That the vast majority of monies that are sent from the developed world to the developing world is, I can't even say it now, remittances. So from people who are working, they're sending their money back to their families.
Yes.
So there could be NAS or whatever. So that's the biggest. It's the biggest amount of money that's going back to the third world, and it costs a fortune.
Yes.
Because Western Union, they pay big fees.
Oh,
and
my
now
God.
with Bitcoin, you can do it, and it goes instantly. The family has it when they need it, and the transaction costs so little. So it's just like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Or even like, I mean, I'm telling you, these things like about the title deeds, that people don't have title. There's 70% of the world's population has tenuous title to their property. So if you don't own your property, you can't raise money. You can't, raise money to set up a business, whatever. If you're not secure, it's very scary. And then we saw it at the Rio Olympics. They cleaned all those slums out,
Yeah.
And those people thought they owned those slums. That their slums were their homes, A slum is better than a no slum,
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many interesting things that are going on that I just and more and more I'm attracted to like blockchain for good projects.
Absolutely.
And I'm talking with another one, a Wuji Foundation. It's all about planting trees, and it's like corporate social responsibility. They're not going to do an ICO, but they want to. And very interesting. They talk about things like natural capital assets. You can actually monetize a tree because of its oxygen it produces, the whatever it does to the soil, to there's a whole rake of things you can actually say that is a value to it. And I mean, I've seen papers, maybe it's a couple of €100. So when people are planting trees, so they're looking for people to gift trees, and then the value of the coin goes up because of the natural capital assets associated with the trees that they plant. How cool is that? We're saving the planet and creating a platform that will have value that can be used to do other things, fight homelessness, fight poverty. Because I actually did an interview with 2 undergraduates in Copenhagen a little while ago. It was about an hour long, and at the end of it, the girl said, "And so, what do you think blockchain can do for the world?" And I started to say that stuff. I said, I think it can change world poverty. Oh, I'm going to do it now. Oh, I started to cry because that's mad. That's mad to think that we actually have a tool that actually could do that.
Yes.
That's mad. I don't think we've ever not the last 100, we know the last 100 years.
No,
since the Industrial Revolution, our children will not necessarily be better off than us through hard work. Our kids won't. They won't necessarily.
No. And they're going to be living, if this doesn't help, they're going to be living 3, 4 in a 2-bedroom apartment just to pay rent.
Yeah.
I mean, just to give you an idea, here in Southern California, because I've been looking for a place myself, a 1-bedroom apartment in here in the Irvine area is going for about $2,300. A 1-bedroom apartment.
That sounds a bit like Dublin. Dublin's getting there as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I don't know where, and they're building more and more and more apartments. I mean, you just look at the countryside I'd hire. There's just apartment building after apartment building being raised, and land being developed for more houses. And I'm thinking to myself, where are these people making this kind of money that they can just keep raising the rents, raising the cost of housing, raising the cost of living, and I'm confused on.
I don't know. I mean, because you've heard of the housing first campaign or philosophy, whatever. You know that. So especially now, less so. It more applies to people who are rough sleepers. You know, like this kind of three categories of homeless people: rough sleepers who have issues.
Yeah.
Homeless families who have been evicted from their houses by vulture funds here in Ireland, and then the hidden ones that are staying in a friend's house or the same with their parents, whatever. But the Housing First initiative is, especially for the rough sleepers, you put someone into a house and then you give them the supports, rather than, you don't say, you've got to get clean, you got to clean up, how can you get clean on the streets? Yeah, I mean, literally, but even like you have any addiction, you can't do it.
No.
Of course you can't.
No.
Put them into a house, and it costs the state less to do that than to have all the supports running around trying to look after them off, all those hostels and the shelters, whatever. It actually costs it more. And also for the person's quality of life, of course, is hugely benefited. But it's funny, I was explaining this to a friend of mine, a really dear friend of mine, who's a big farmer with a big house and a big farm. And I said, everybody should be given a house. Everyone should get a house. It should be a human right to have a house over your head. I'm not saying a big house. It could be a little house, a little small house, but you can close the door.
Yes.
It's very funny. And he's a dear friend of mine. But he said, I think people should have to earn their houses. Oh, I looked at him and I said, you were born to your big house and your big farm.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge you. I do not begrudge you. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah.
But I think you should be a bit more sympathetic to somebody who is not born to a home and a job wrapped up into one of the good things. It's mad, isn't it? And I think we have to rethink. It's like, is it Norway they're doing the universal wage? So because also, I don't know about in the US, but in Ireland we have welfare departments. Again, I was saved for 3 years. I lived in welfare. Hallelujah. I had met with unfailing respect and kindness and money from the government and from the officials. So very happy, a very good experience for me. Thank you very much, government. But there are thousands of people employed, and there's all these different credits you can get, whatever. You get rid of all that and give everybody say 10 grand a year. That's your minimum wage, and whatever you do on top of it, that's fine. And again, people will say the people will squander it. Yeah, sure. And you'll probably still need to have a certain amount of support for people who spend it all in one go or whatever. I don't know, whatever way they have an addiction problem or there's some problem.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice that everybody would have that kind of starting thing. Okay, I've got my 10 grand and I get it, every month. And if I work hard, I earn more. And if I don't work hard, I don't eat out so much,
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of thinking, I would never have thought of that. But, well, why would you do that? Because before, when I had my career, that was very normal. I was a high flyer. I mean, not a high flyer, but I was pretty good. I was earning good money. So it never occurred to me that I might not earn money. It never occurred to me that I might be 3 years on the dole.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I mean, and if I'm 3 years on the dole, and I've got such, I hate to use this word, I've got such privilege. I'm private educated. I went to Trinity College. I was employed by JP Morgan. I've worked all across the world. I know loads of people. I know loads of things. I have lots of knowledge. And it's taken me the guts of 10 years to get back into work. But 3 years on the dole, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone doesn't have those supports or those things to fall back on,
yeah,
how hard is it for them?
Yeah. And you weren't a crack addict. You weren't sitting there turning tricks, anything like that. So it wasn't like you were looking for the government handout. But if you just come across some bad luck, man, and sometimes you just hit that string. And some people don't understand that. Some people think they've been a privileged life, and they're like, oh, you just need to learn how to manage your money. You need to learn how to you go out and get a job.
Yeah,
go out and get a job. Yeah, because
it's the biggest lie going, isn't it? That because this idea that somehow poverty is your fault.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Poverty is your fault.
It's a choice.
That is mad. I mean, I had a very privileged background. I know I did. But I was 3 years for sure on the dole, and I couldn't. And I was for a year and a half of it. I had to go into my local post office every week and collect my money. That is, for me, so destroying because I'm going, I'm still here, not off the dole yet, hello. And then I'm on a scheme where they paid it into my bank account, hallelujah, because it was mortifying. Because I knew the women in the post office. Yeah. They knew me. Mm-hmm. How are you? I'm grand. Yes, I'm working very hard, trying to get work. So I think there needs to be a rethink. And it's not that I'm a radical, socialist, whatever. I'm not. I mean, I'm at heart a capitalist, but I'm one of those good capitalists. You have a good company that creates good product, looks after its employees, looks after its customers, and does something good in its neighborhood where it works, whatever. And they're not all screaming for the bottom line, the profit.
Yeah.
Everybody makes a living. There's an abundance there for everybody. And even you hear some companies where they tie the cleaner salary with the MD, so the MD doesn't get a raise of like 20 million bonus, whatever the percentage raise increase is, they all get it.
As it should be.
So you know that.
As it should be, because
that makes sense. As a cleaner.
Yeah, oftentimes that CEO, he's just sitting back collecting a check anyway, and he's got his little minions running around doing the stuff for him. He's not doing really anything, and then they're giving him a $20 million bonus, which is more than the entire company paid their employees altogether for that whole year. My God.
I'm not against CEOs, and I'm sure they do. They're great leaders, and they do a great job. I haven't got a problem with that. But give everybody a fair crack of the whip. That's
absolutely
everybody.
Yeah. When you're getting hey, let's talk about your raise. Here's 50 cents an hour.
Yeah.
No, let's
good luck with that.
Yeah, you take it and shove it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have to tell you a funny story. Do you remember how I said to you yesterday when we were just chatting?
Yes.
And I said, I know for a fact that sports journalists are really nice guys and girls, mostly guys.
Yeah.
They're one of the nicest group of journalists I've ever met. And I speak as a journalist myself.
Yes.
And secondly, they like erotica.
They like erotica. Yeah, because they're like I was telling you.
Yeah. So I tell you my little story.
Go ahead.
In 2013, I couldn't get work. I was on the dole. I was a bit of like a debt zombie, I called myself, because I was in a fog. Now, thankfully, I never contemplated suicide myself, but I had a total absence of hope. I thought, I'm never going to get back out of this hole. I'm just so deep. I'm never going to get out. My life will always be like this, And anyway, 2013 came and 50 Shades of Grey was published. And of course, everybody's reading it. Maybe it was the year before. Everybody's reading it. Now, as a writer, I went, I could do better than that. Thank you very much. And also, I hated. Did you ever read those books?
Never. No, I'm a man.
Oh, don't. Oh, they're horrible. Do you know why they're horrible? It's fan fiction for Twilight, the Stephanie Mars book. So she started writing that style. Now, if you like that style, that's fine.
Yeah.
I personally don't like that style. So anyway, I hated it. I read the first one book and I read it. I hated it. So I said, I'm going to do better. So I sat down and started writing it. But what I did is I took, because it was also farcical, like he'd give her presents and she said, oh no, I can't have that present. I'm going, he's a billionaire. If he wants to give you a little Corsa or a Mini, it's like, if a mechanic brings you a bunch of flowers from the garage, you're going to say, oh no, I can't take that either. Anyway, all these things are crazy, and she was driving me nutty. So I took my life basically, because I was also dating. I stepped into the dating pool after my divorce, and that was an experience. 16 years to the same man, and then suddenly I'm dating again. Woo, it's scary. So I do all my experiences and I put them through the fiction bill. But I did even one thing was even more important than that. While I was writing, actually I wrote a trilogy. They're called The Cougar Diaries.
The Cougar Diaries.
Cougar Diaries. I tend to date young men at that stage. And I chose a pen name of Aoife Brennan because it sounds very horribly Irish, so no one could pronounce it or anything like that. Make it difficult. But in the middle, I was writing them. I was, I said a lot of TV during all my activism days and my ranting and raving days. Two production companies, one from Belgium and one from Germany, came to me and said they wanted to do a pan-European documentary, starting off with in Japan with the Asian tiger, and right the way through to Ireland because we were exiting the bailout at that stage. And they said, you want to say how austerity really worked for the country? And I'm going, excuse me? Austerity does not work. We know that. It's like starving and anorexic. It does not work. Austerity does not generate abundance. It just creates scarcity.
Yep.
So I said, it's not working. And they went, they said, that's not on our storyboard. So they dropped me from both the productions. Both said, no, we don't want you. And they said, you're not on our storyboard. Now, when I did all that acting work, I was never paid for it. I didn't care. I wasn't looking for money. It would have been nice, 180 a week would have been nice. But I got very angry. I'm going, excuse me, you're telling the lie. We are suffering here, and it shouldn't be like that. And austerity never works. So I put it all into my books. So the Cougar Diaries, if you want to understand Ireland, you can read these books and you'll understand what happened to Ireland during the catastrophe that followed the Celtic Tiger.
Right. Okay.
Only there's lots of sex in it, lots and lots of sex. And the reason, going back to my sports journalist, I was PRO for Bray Wanderers, a Premier football club here in Ireland, in Bray, outside Dublin. And I after all this sport, lovely. I couldn't say nicer bunch of guys and a girl, one girl, really nice. They were very friendly, very welcoming. And after a bit, they got to know me, and they'd be like, one of them say, "Oh, Joe, I believe you do a bit of writing there. Could we help you with your next book?"
Right on.
I'm going, "Look, guys." That was so 2013. I'm so done with that. But it was funny because they see the thing that surprised them was because they were curious because they know me now, and it's a woman PRO in the football, which is soccer, very unusual. And so some of them had read the books. I read the first one anyway. And of course, I write in a contemporary style, so it's accessible to men. Yeah. And then they suddenly discovered they got to the sex scenes, and the men tend not to read erotica because mostly it tends to be of the 50 Shades variety, but it's written for women, so it's all pink and flowery and whereas this is like normal, and then some mistake or whatever. But there's lots of sex in there, and sometimes very funny sex. And they were shocked. It had an effect on them, shall we say?
Right on. Okay, as it should. That's why you're reading porn. So yeah, erotica.
And I mean, I thought that they would save me, save my house. I thought I could make millions like E.L. James, and I would save my house from the banks.
Yeah.
Not yet. No. Not yet. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Well, keep writing them. Keep writing them. You're doing the Lord's work there. Keep writing them.
No, I'm done with erotica.
Oh.
I might rewrite them. I'm planning to rewrite them and call them Confessions of a Cryptomaniac.
Oh, okay. Getting paid.
And just change it because my character works in the IT sector anyway. So just throw a few bitcoins in there.
Absolutely, yeah. Bitcoin fixes everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I saw in here you are one of the blockchain people to watch in Ireland for 2018.
Yeah.
And that's we see our buddy Simon in there, and a few people that I haven't really seen many of these people. Of course, I'm not in Ireland, so I probably wouldn't. Mm-hmm. But it is fascinating that you go from being couch surfing to one of the people to watch in blockchain. What's going to be happening next?
I love it, and I think that's why, because I said when I discovered it last year, I went, there sings my soul. I just, this is made for me. Everything that happened in the last 10 years, and also the previous 20 years too, that gave me the background to it. So what next? I'd like to think my dream job, and I'm practically there, I'm nearly there. My dream job is to travel the world, not always chairing, maybe just speaking, because chairing is a lot of work. It's a lot of work in chairing a conference because you got to know everybody, and then there is a lot of work. Maybe just travel the world, speaking. And then what I'd love to do is, and I want to do it locally, actually, with a friend of mine's working with people who are coming into the dole, long-term people on the dole, whatever. I want to give hope to people because if you looked at my story, you would have said, she's a goner. She's going to commit suicide. She's going to do it. She's never going to come back. And then I look and I'm going, wow, things can turn around. They really can turn around. And I'm so blessed that I found an industry. It's only the adjoining one to where I was anyway, but it's so much nicer than the ordinary IT industry.
Yes.
And I'm just about it. I'm so lucky to have stumbled upon it. I'm giving it all my energies, all my, I'm day and night doing it. But look, I'm traveling the world, and I'm talking across. I'm meeting great people.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm so happy.
Yeah, and that I have noticed that everyone in the blockchain world seems to be of the nicest people I've ever met. And I think they're truly trying to help other people. They're not trying to just grab a quick dime and scoot off to the Bahamas or live on a beach for the rest of their life. They're actually trying to help other people as fast as they're helping themselves.
Well, I love the story. When I was in the Ukraine, I tell us a lot. Sergey, and I can't pronounce his surname, and Denise, two men, they did the Talar coin. Now, the Talar coin, they're from Belarus. Talar coin is an ancient Belarusian coin. And they did this project where they wanted to educate the people. And also, in December of last year, crypto is legal in Belarus. All the guy who, Alexandra Chinenko, whatever his name is, he said, come all everybody. We're very happy. We're crypto friendly. So these guys set up this coin. It's easily mined. It's low on energy. He wants everybody to be able to have access to it, and he wants people to learn from it. So he wants to help his fellow countrymen and women to get experience in blockchain, compliance, marketing, all the things that go around the ICOs, the whole thing, just to get first-hand experience of it so they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I interviewed him, and he's a lovely man. We're friends now. He's a lovely man. And I said, what about the founder tokens? He said, oh, no, they're all going back into the project. This is a social engineering project that they're doing. I go, wow, goosebumps, wow, a young man, fantastic. And he said, of course, he said, I will do a commercial project next. I said, oh, okay, yeah. And he said, but it will only be a commercial project that makes the world a better place. And I went, yes,
good.
That's my type of person. Isn't
Absolutely.
that good? I mean, he wants to make money. Of course he does. We all need to feed ourselves and our children. And, abundance is not a bad thing. But to help other people at the same time. Wow. They're gorgeous.
Yes. How great is that?
It's awe-inspiring. The poor man, he must hate me now because I tell that story all the time. Sergey, come on.
So are you getting involved in any are you buying crypto? Are you investing in this?
No, I earn.
You
crypto,
earn.
and that's cool.
Okay,
yeah, I earn.
So you're not. Are you mining anything? Are you?
No. I'm not a trader.
Okay.
And I'm not a miner. And currently I'm just earning crypto. I'm earning some euros and some crypto. Okay. And the idea is that I'll earn enough that I can maybe buy a little house. See, I thought I would rent forevermore.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Sure.
And my eldest daughter, who's mad on the horses, she wants like an equine rehab yard. So if I had a few bob, I could buy a couple of fields.
Yeah.
Maybe stables, a barn, whatever. So it's all of a sudden it's achievable where it wasn't before. Before I was going to go quiet into the night, and that was going to be the end of Jillian Godsil. She had her moment in 2014.
Yeah.
And now I'm going, no, I'm not. And I also what I want to do too as well. I want to help other people. Genuine. This is not just me going because I've been miserable. I've been homeless twice.
Yeah.
And I've lived on no money. And it's tough. It's tough. And I especially appreciate because I see people say, oh, go get a job. I had so many privileges and I couldn't get myself out. I couldn't pull myself out of the mud. That was so tough. So if it's tough for someone with me, so many, I've a huge network of people and everything. Mm-hmm. I still couldn't get out of the mud.
It is very hard. Yeah. Once you're in there, it's almost like momentum. The further you go down, the harder it is to get back out.
Right. It's like going down, what do you call that plant? The Venus flytrap.
Yes.
The flies go down there, and it's so hard to get out again.
That's LA. That's LA and Vegas. It seems like that it attracts people that think they're going to get rich. These girls jump off the bus in LA with their suitcase. They're going to be the next Marilyn Monroe, and it's not happening fast enough. And so they contribute to the overpopulation of Southern California, and then they get themselves a bad boyfriend, get knocked up, they get a couple of puppies, and next thing you know, that they're contributing to the sucking on the government, and and it's not their fault. They had a dream, they wanted to do something big, and it didn't happen, and so
it's tough. I think we need more compassion in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion, because it is so easy to not achieve the things that you thought you were going to achieve. I mean, every child thinks that they can be whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
What are you going to be when you grow up? Your son? Oh, I'm going to be a pilot. I'm going to be a doctor, whatever, And then what happens when you get grown up? And then all those dreams, they kind of stop.
Yes.
And then life starts to... Mm-hmm. And it's tough. It is tough. It is tough. Yep. We need more compassion.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of work. And did we talk yesterday about the sports and the North American Sports and Blockchain Conference?
You mentioned it briefly.
Yeah.
And I said, a hero of a football club, I think I should definitely be there.
Yes, absolutely. We should, put your broadcast on there for us also. This is going to be August 2018 here in Los Angeles. So,
wow.
And
free in August.
What's that?
I'm free in August.
You're free in August, yeah. Because I looked at the calendar and it seemed like that was a very thin month for conferences. So it'd be great to have you out here. I think I'm trying to get Nikita out here for that.
Yeah, I'd love to see her again. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous in body and in soul and in mind.
Yes, she is absolutely a knockout. Very smart and talented and funny, and we had a great conversation. And then who else? There was somebody else. I'm trying to blank out. Anyway, and by the way, yesterday I had a guy stop in, and I am now the proud owner of Crypto the Wonder Dog tokens. We now have tokens.
You said that. I thought you were messing.
No, we actually have them now. We created 20 billion.
Wow.
And yes, 20 billion. So it was pretty impressive when I opened up my MetaMask wallet, and there's a 2 with a bunch of zeros behind it. It was pretty awesome. And to realize that
So
all of those zeros, it actually, it should have been just all zeros because it's not worth a penny. All 20 billion aren't worth a penny. That's awesome.
But as you were saying yesterday on one of your shows, the Dogecoin,
Yes. You never know. It's another dog token, not dog token coin thing, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I should do one for my daughter with the horses, because she so wants to run. Oh my God, that child, she's 24.
Yeah.
My child, that young woman, so devoted to horses. I mean, she spends more on the horses, and she's 2 rescue horses.
Oh my God. Wow.
It kills her because all her money goes on these horses just to feed them and keep them. And one of them has got, he's like the Woody Allen of neuroses. He's every neuroses going, but she works with him. She does touch on him. And she so wants to run a yard to help other people. And if I hadn't got divorced, I'd be able to afford to help her. So now I'm thinking, maybe I'll find an equine coin of some kind.
Yes.
Wow. And then because she so wants, I give an example of my child, how amazing she is. A couple of years ago, she was on a groom's salary, right? She's a qualified saddle fitter and all the rest, but she's on a groom's salary. So it's about $200 a week, very small money. And she was in the local Aldi, whatever, and there was a young man begging outside. And it was wintertime, and they had coats inside, men's coats, whatever, for like 30 euros, whatever. She bought the coat and went outside and gave it to the young man.
Oh,
and she rang me after, Mum, should I have done that? And I said, that was a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Just don't do it every week.
Yeah, just don't do it. Yeah, help out. But
I was so impressed, because how we talk about being generous and kind, and there's my daughter with nothing.
Yeah.
Doing that, I thought, wow, she's amazing.
Yeah, that was.
So
great.
I want to get her yard. I don't know how. I want to get her equine yard where she can help other people. Ideally, she'd love to only charge according to means. You know. So if you have no money, charge very little, or if you're rich, whatever you're doing, whatever, then you charge.
Help some other people out too.
So, yeah. So that's why maybe I'll talk to you later about that. The horse coin, hippo coin.
Yes. I don't know how I don't know how to monetize it, because of course it's illegal here to take a coin like that and try to sell it. So I could give those out. I could you shoot me your MetaMask wallet address. I'll shoot you over some Wonder Dog tokens. So
wow.
Maybe someday those will, they might be worth something. So we're just going to be dropping those into people's wallets. You subscribe to the show, and you might wake up the next morning with a bunch of zeros in your MetaMask.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So Jillian, it's been great talking with you. You are a lady on the move, and you don't stop moving, man. You got so many things going on, and it's great that you're back on your feet, and you keep it going, and keeping other people on their feet, giving people hope, and of course working with people.
This old bird. Do you know the lovely film? Flash Gordon. You know Flash Gordon?
Yes, back in the early 70s. Yes.
And hurry up, we got 19 hours to save the world, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's the man Brian Blessed, who's the bird. He goes the flying the character. So he's an English actor, and he joins Flash Gordon to save the world, whatever. He goes, thanks, he said, for giving an old bird a second chance. That's what I feel like. This old bird's getting a second chance.
Yes. Yeah, we all need a second chance. Sometimes 3 or 4 chances, because as an entrepreneur, you always come across something you think is going to be the next big thing, and you put your heart and soul into it. And if it doesn't, many people would they just collapse and go get a job at McDonald's. Yeah. But I think people like you and myself, you hit that wall, you back up, and find a door, and go through it, and wait till you hit the next wall.
Yeah, and it means that we can empathize with people who do hit the wall and stay there, because it's tough. It is tough when the world is against you the whole time. Very tough.
The world is always against you, and that's why we need people in the blockchain.
No, we have to you have to say the world is with us. We have to change our mindset.
You're right. Absolutely.
The world is with us. The world is bringing us on, and we're bringing everyone else on with us. No person left behind. No blockchain left behind.
The world is with us. That's right. There's forces against us, but the world is with us. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Good talk.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
You too.